While Brian's
There
still
we
trying to
are.
figure that out, what's going on,
Oh shoot,
everybody? We're
hold
going to
on.
go with this one. There we go.
There we go. I got it.
Yes. It's Tuesday night. Time to talk some football, right? We're not experts here. We're just two very opinionated loudmouths who love some football. You guys know me, right? It's your boy SAJ, Mouth of the South, all right, Loudmouth of the South. I'm coming to you live from my remote studio that is going to be being remodeled, and it's going to be a new studio here very, very shortly. What's up, Zoe? And then I'm also coming to you from the Solo Serve Studios tonight.
Ooh, yeah, yep. Everyone knows Solo Serve. Oh, what's up, everybody? I am BD. Today, I'm going to be coming at you from the Rio Cantina Studios. Uh, One of those Riverwalk tourist trap restaurants that was open forever, but they're closed now. So it gets to be one of the studios.
So that's their fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
You kick my
so,
fan on a little over here. It's a little toasty in my studio, so you know.
yes, sir. So, lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Again, I am working remotely, so you're going to see um, a lot of weird illumination because I'm using my phone to do all my internet research because I don't have my computer set up yet. Again, it's a remote studio. Um, but there is a lot going on right now. Even though we're transitioning out of all of the indoor football stuff, and we know UFL is over with, things are starting to gear up and starting to go towards the NFL, which should be kicking off here in 23 days, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I think the
Right?
first our preseason game is the first weekend of August, I believe.
Right.
Does that sound right?
Um, it's
Or the middle of
no,
August?
I believe it's the middle of August because I believe the actual season starts the
The
September
first week
9th.
the first weekend of September is the kickoff for the regular season.
Right.
So
So, why don't we start by talking though about the San Antonio Gunslingers this weekend? Uh, and definitely we want to give a shout out to our guy XFL Mike G, who was
yep.
kind enough to invite quite a few people out to the game. And so Texans Talking Football was in attendance, and there were some members of Horns Forward podcast that were there as well. And we had ourselves a great old time. In fact, we ran into quite a few of our Brahmas Familia
Oh yeah.
throughout the location. We ran into Joshua and Elizabeth Clayton. Um, who else did we run into? I know Warren
Well, I
was
mean, we
there.
we sat with Marlon and Joanna. Obviously, Jackie and Jesse and
Hmm.
uh, you know
Mike
uh,
G.
my G, and
Uh,
then
Rig Rocker was in attendance.
yep,
He got
that's right.
to
Rig was
hang
there.
out.
That was a cool. Wasn't expecting to see him there. That was
I
always fun.
was. I
Um,
was, but I wasn't
obvious.
supposed to say anything.
Oh, obviously, the uh, uh, the Smoking Guns podcast. They were there. Of course, they were there. But it's always good to catch up with them.
Hmm.
Say hi to them. Man, it was kind of cool. It was like we haven't seen these guys since the Brahma season ended.
Hmm.
Even the some of them even our last game of the last regular season home game. The ones that weren't making the travel with us, and
Right.
obviously we it was our first Gunslingers game we went to this year, uh,
Hmm.
and kind of with all the traveling we did for the Brahmas, I think we kind of needed needed a little bit of a break from going to see live football, which was
I
nice.
don't.
But, well, you
I
know
don't
what I did?
agree.
My
I
my
don't agree.
voice, my voice was like, what the hell is this? I thought football was done, but
Yeah.
but it was really cool seeing everybody, or seeing a lot of the familiar faces. So,
Yep.
and I mean the game itself was an absolute blast. I forget how fun going to an arena game is.
Yeah.
It's
So I think it's important to let our fans know that this was not like our first game. This was our first game this season.
the season, yeah,
B,
yeah,
yeah, BD and I have been, fans and season ticket holders since day one, and we've talked about those stories here on the show, right back at San Antonio Rose Palace, where Brian made a really close friend If he'd have gotten even closer, he'd have left a much more meaningful impact on Brian's life, if you
Yeah,
catch my drift.
right.
Um, and there was also, the
You're
very warm memories that we have from the games, right? The old horse poop in the horse arena there at the Rose Palace, and then the time when the one-eyed horse dropped a deuce of
lucky.
his own in the end zone, right? So we've got some great stories and some great memories, man. And I will say this, BD and I, when we do anything with football, I mean, we go out, we go all out. That this is just what we do, right? We're passionate people about this sport, and I can think of at least three or four different people that came up to me. I don't know about BD, and I don't know about everybody else in the rest of our crew. Um, but I can think of at least three or four people that came up to us and said, "Hey, are you guys coming back next week? Because we need that energy that you guys brought. This place was rocking because of you guys." And in fact, there's even a picture of me floating around on the internet, looking back directly at the cameraman, telling the crowd to be quiet because we were on a very important stand on offense, getting ready to score, and people
And
were
they're all
cheering.
waving cowbells, and like, come on, people. That the hype guy did so well for the whole game until that last drive. You
Yes.
know,
Well, and that was actually the booth announcer who
no, it was the hype guy because the booth
was it?
announcer, yeah, the hype guy, because he was the one who was like, "Get your flags up, ring your cowbell, basic blah blah blah," and then Chris Duell, who is the PA announcer guy, he was actually like, "All right, let's let the offense work. Let's tone it down a little bit." He was trying to calm everyone back down, but
Okay. I was too busy yelling at the camera. I'm sure I didn't
yeah,
hear it, because I mean, that's what I do, right? I antagonize things.
you had to turn your back to the field at some point in the game. I mean, it's only natural.
It's
So
tradition, man. It's
yeah.
tradition. I've got to antagonize somebody, and if it's the camera, then it's the camera. I really don't care. So,
Actually,
but
you
it was
know
a
what? Since you brought it, I'm gonna find and post that pic real quick here.
see if you can find and post that picture because it was an
Yeah.
excellent picture. Um, but this is a really good game, and I'm very surprised how well San Antonio did against an 8-6 team, right? Because it goes to show you that San Antonio was not kind of like the way the Brahmas were last season. San Antonio was not as bad as what their record kind of indicated. Um, San Antonio, of course, did wind up pulling off this game, but Massachusetts kind of, they elected to uh, defer the ball to the second half. Um, and Mike, you're probably right. The PA guy probably did see us because I mean I was being pretty obnoxious. I know BD was doing his part, right?
All right, here we go. Here,
Um,
here's here,
and
here's the picture, and this
let me
this was
see
shown on the broadcast
on the
itself,
jumbotron, the mini jumbotron
the mini jumbotron, but also on this. I pulled this one
on the
from
broadcast.
the YouTube stream. So
Yes,
is it up yet? There it is.
yep, it's up
Yeah.
100%. And so again, that's because people were making noise. And I mean, look at that score. Go back and look at that score, right?
Yeah,
Bring
55,
that back
55
up.
to 50. Oh shoot, hold on. Yeah,
So it was
we were
okay.
down. We were down by
There
5
you go.
points, 55 to 50, with 55 seconds left. We had the ball. So
Yep. Yep. So that was extremely important that people stayed quiet, right? Because it was 1 minute left, and this isn't like normal football. Like I mean, you've got 1 minute, and you've got to figure out what the hell to do with it, and you got to do it quickly. So it was extremely important that everybody, cayete their bocas and allow our offense to work. So, but it wound up being a great game. Again, Massachusetts deferred. Uh, and they took the ball in the second half, and wouldn't you know it, right off the rip, they kick the ball and they get the deuce. So for those
yeah,
that don't know how IFL works, and I think it's in one other league also, um, But if
NAL.
you
That they were NAL was the league that originally had it, and then uh, the IFL brought it over this season.
okay, so if you kick the ball and it goes through the on your kickoff, if the ball goes through the uprights, you get 2 points, right?
Yep.
It's a difficult shot. We saw a couple of times where the kickers did miss, but for the most part, man, they were on fire on Saturday. They were dropping them left and right, minus a few. So again, Massachusetts right off the rip, they kick the ball, goes in the uprights. So San Antonio gets the ball at I believe it was like the 10-yard line, something like that.
They get it.
They
So
march.
once you kick the deuce, the other
Mhm,
team gets the ball at the 5 yard line is where it starts.
right.
So
So they managed to march it downfield, and it was uh, it was rough, right? They did 9 plays, 45 yards. Uh, but there were a lot of third down conversions that they had to rely on
third,
because
and they even had a
Massachusetts,
couple fourth they had to do.
mhm.
You know,
And Massachusetts' defense is no joke. They were blanketing receivers. They were getting to Castronova. But once San Antonio scored that touchdown, man, then it was off to the races, just back and forth, back and forth. And so Massachusetts wound up finishing out the first quarter with 11 points. San Antonio with 9 because they kicked the deuce and got it. And again, it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But San Antonio did manage to run it up in the second quarter. Massachusetts made a huge, huge effort, huge push in the fourth quarter, and did take the lead at one point. But San Antonio did manage to hang on and score that last minute touchdown, and it wound up, giving them the win. Now, unfortunately, they didn't get all the help that they needed. They were eliminated from the playoffs, so San
yeah.
Antonio is now officially out of the playoffs. But that doesn't mean they can't still be a spoiler, right? Um, they could still potentially cause some problems. Now, this next week's game, I don't think it's necessarily going to matter any. I believe they're playing Duke City, um, but it's
No,
still.
this week they're playing the Sugar Skulls, which
Oh, okay,
Sugar Skulls are last in the West, so
that's who it
there's
was.
there's nothing they can do. Uh, Following week 19, the last week of the season, they're playing Arizona Rattlers, who right now Arizona is that third team. So San Antonio could play spoiler for them.
Yep, could,
So
right, and so it could be pretty tough. Um, Now, again, it was an incredible game for anybody that's kind of looking for something to do to fill an afternoon. I'm telling you, it's good, cheap, wholesome entertainment.
yeah.
One of the players, well, actually several of the players, but one specifically that we know. What's up, Bobby? How you doing, man? Um, we have a connection with one of the players that's on the field, and that's LaColby. Uh, why can't I remember his last name? It'll come
I
to
don't
me in a
know.
bit. It'll come to me in a bit. But we have a connection in the sense that he's a UFL player that played for Houston, made a connection with Rig last year, not this last season, but last year when it was still all XFL. Um, and unfortunately, LaColby Tucker, there you go. Thank you, Lily. You're awesome. Um, but he's got a connection with Rig. We have a connection with Rig. So by proxy, we're kind of connected with him, and we're definitely rooting for him. He's an incredible guy. I don't know if any of you saw it or not, but we were able to get him to tell Marlon and Joanna's son that he was going to be attending the Gunslingers football camp, courtesy of XFL Mike G. And it was it was an awesome experience. And he was so like he actually genuinely got excited about it when I told him about it. Because I kind of pulled him on the side and I was like, "Hey, man, I need to ask a huge favor. If you could just do me a favor, make this announcement for me real quick." And he's like, "Really?" Like all excited like a kid, right? And I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, is that? And he's like, "Oh, I'd love to, man. I'd love to." And he's like, "Which one is he?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know which son it is. You're just gonna have to call him by name." So, but it was pretty awesome. And just to see that kid's eyes light up, man, it was so cool. And then after that, I know who everybody was. But um, it was a fun time. And again, good, cheap, wholesome entertainment. A lot of us, Brahmas fans are there hanging out. Definitely the Smoking Guns podcast. Uh, uh, Leo and Loli are there pretty much every game. I'm sure they're there every game. Philip has been there pretty regularly as well. In fact, I think he was
He
doing
does.
the
He does
announcements
the. He
last
does
week.
the YouTube announcement.
Okay.
He's one of the YouTube broadcasters. So
Yeah. So again, a lot of your the people that are all out there hanging out, right? So it's literally just you're going from the Alamo Dome to the Freeman Coliseum. Now, don't expect to tailgate at the Freeman Coliseum, but you can still hang out and maybe grab some nachos and stuff. And the prices are reasonable; they're not horrible. They're not like Alamo Dome
no,
prices,
they're so
thankfully.
good. I mean,
So
it's not obviously it's not like going to a grocery store, but it's still it's reasonable
it's affordable.
prices.
Yeah, it's affordable. Maybe you don't drink, three beers there, but you could afford two probably, or just get one and pass it. It's perfectly fine. Um, but anyways, on the other side of the spectrum here, and I didn't get to watch this game just because when it was going on, I was being soccer dad. Which, P.S. My girls absolutely destroyed this game. Um, but we're not here to talk about soccer, so I'm not going to brag about them too much. Uh, but Frisco absolutely dominated Duke City. Not that you didn't expect that,
Yeah,
but one thing that kind of surprised me a little bit is the final score was 81 Frisco, 55 Duke City. I thought Frisco had a little bit better defense than that. I'm surprised they allowed Duke City to score 55 points. Again, it's arena ball. You're going to get some games like that are pretty high scoring, but Frisco was kind of the outside the norm for arena ball, right? They're a team that focused on their defense first and suppressing, the opponent's offense, which is, ultimately what this game is kind of about. And then, having a good enough offense to get some points on the board. And as long
and
as they
really
got,
Frisco for the year, they've like kind of what you're talking about. In contrast to what your typical arena team is, they rely pretty heavily on the run game.
yeah,
Like they're not really a passing first kind of team. Is they've got a really good run game, especially their quarterback. So
hmm well, this game, they certainly relied on their passing a lot more than what they did their running, from what we're seeing here. Pretty much every touchdown, minus this 30-yarder that, well, that was Duke City that got it. Never mind. Um, any rushing
yeah,
touchdown
I
they
say
had
I
was like a
say
two
that
or a
now
three
they
yarder.
have 200 over 200 yards passing and 80 yards rushing, but
Right.
this game is
Which,
kind of the outlier. They are a pretty heavy run team.
oh,
I
yeah.
forget what their quarterback has. As far as season stats, but I think he's got more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns.
hmm Well, here's the other thing that kind of surprises me. You had an 11-3 team in the Frisco Fighters going up against a 2-11 Duke City. And we look at the Duke City games, they've not really put up, you know, much of a fight with most of their opponents. But, this week, man, they had something dialed in, just not completely dialed in, where they were able to get 55 on the board against, a really strong Frisco defense. So that was really kind of surprising to see those game results on Monday.
Yeah.
So, um, and again, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Pro Arena Talk. They've been so great with covering all this stuff to the point where, we can miss a couple of these games and we still get all the information that we need. So, guys, thank you so much for everything that you do and your passion for the game of arena football. Because without you guys, we would just be speculating on half this stuff. It'd be even worse than what it was before we hooked up with you guys. So, again,
Right.
thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Where's my camera? Right there. Appreciate you. I'm coming live from an iPad, and if any of you guys know me, I'm an Android guy, and I just don't understand this world and where the cameras are, and things just don't make sense. And so I'm gonna flub my way through
What
this.
does this button do?
Yeah, look, I don't know what to do with my hands. So, Good stuff. But anyways, so yeah, it was a great game. There was obviously a lot of great football action this weekend, um, and there were some other pretty good games from this weekend. The I want to see how Green Bay did. Jacksonville actually got a win against Iowa, which was kind of odd.
Good for
Uh,
them.
Strike Force won by 1 point against the Nighthawks. That looked like that was an incredible, incredible game. I'll probably have to go back and try and watch the replay on that. Another close one. Northern Arizona pulled off the win against Bay Area by a point. Um, Arizona and Tucson, that didn't look very entertaining, and it looks like Green Bay had the bye in Week 17,
So
which may be
I want
helpful
to
for
say
them.
that the Northern Arizona Bay Area one, that's the one that we're Pro Arena Talk was talking about. I didn't get to see that game either, but I think Northern Arizona ended up winning that game by kicking a deuce on their kickoff. They got a touchdown. They got like a drop kick for a two point conversion, and then they ended up kicking the deuce on the kickoff. So they got 10 points, which put them up to one, which made them win that game. So
Yeah, that's again right. Knowing the rules,
yeah,
we hate it. We've seen people use the rules to beat other teams in UFL and XFL, but that's what they're there for, man. They're there to make sure that you're not relying on judgment calls from the refs or anything like that. Like you've got to be in every single game, and you've got to fight till the last whistle blows.
yep.
That's what it's for,
I mean
and
that
I'm here
you can
for it.
score. IFL football, you can score up to 10 points, per like possession if you get 2 point conversion and the deuce afterwards. So really, just kind of like what UFL is like. Leads aren't real safe in any kind of arena league footballs and stuff like that or indoor football leagues. So
Hey, speaking of Rig, what's up, Rig?
right, yep.
I'm glad to see you checking in. I hope everything's all right over there in Houston. I know you had a little bit more excitement than what you were probably expecting. But I know you. It sounds like you survived the storm well, but it's also
Survived, and honestly, really shout out to Rig too, man. I mean, he kind of, once everything got set up and where to go, he was out kind of helping around his neighborhood, helping. I saw a lot of posts on Facebook, hey, checking in on people, friends of his and stuff like that. And really, I mean, that's awesome, man. That just coming together, just being being a part of your community. So fantastic, fantastic. You're doing that, Rig. Just big shout out from us for that.
yes, yes. Not that you hadn't already earned our respect, but definitely doing something like that in the midst of what potentially could have been your own tragic story. You're out helping others, man. So shout out to you.
Yeah,
Okay, love you, man.
absolutely.
Um, let's go ahead and kick over, being that we're talking about arena football right now. Why don't we go ahead and kick over to the AFL and talk about? I believe the AFL playoffs or the semifinals were this weekend.
Yeah. So the first, the first or the two playoff games, and then we've got the championship coming up in 2 weeks. But uh, oh shoot, I lost my score. Hold on.
Um,
All right,
it
just
looks
found it.
like
So
yeah. So
Nashville, yeah, Nashville beat Orlando, and the Liberty beat the Kansas Storm. So
yeah, and I will say I'm really surprised by the score from Nashville. Not that Nashville's not a good team or anything like that, but Predators have been a pretty good team in the AFL overall this season. 32-62, like getting
yeah,
beat by 30 points, man. That's pretty amazing. So of course, obviously, we don't really have a vested interest in this, but it's just nice to kind of keep tabs on it again. And their playoff game should be the Arena Bowl. What are they calling it this year? Arena Bowl 33 will be being played July 13th, 2024. And I have no idea where this field is. It's TDS Fiber Field at Metro Park Arena. I have no idea. Oh, let's go, Rig. Now I know for a fact now. Okay, if Rig's going to be here on the 20th, I'm going to be at the
yep.
Freedom.
Yeah,
right?
we'll be there again.
Yes. So, you know what?
So the
Um,
American Dream. So that's the
this is the
it's in New Jersey.
semifinals.
The
Okay.
Arena Bowl is going to be at the American Dream. I think it's a mall in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So they've
I
got
looked at, yeah, I apologize. I looked at the wrong thing on the website. It's actually the semifinal rounds where the Nashville Cats are taking on the Billings Outlaws at that Metro Park Arena. And then Salinas Liberty is going to be taking on the Albany Firebirds in the MVP Arena, which I'm
yeah,
assuming is in Albany.
I think so.
So that'll be good stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so again, there's still plenty of arena football going on. You've got the semifinals, and then the week after the finals for AFL. You've got 2 weeks of IFL football regular season. Plus, then you're going to have the playoff round, and then the
Then you
championship
got
game.
then you got 3 weeks of playoffs for the IFL. So we still
Right.
got at least 5 more weeks of indoor football. And like we said, I think we
Yeah.
said this last week too. We're so that we'll be going indoor football will be going right till NFL kickoff or a week or two before that. So
Yeah. Definitely into the preseason game. So it'll be a nice smooth transition back into the regular football that we all know and love. Um, Real quick, we don't talk about it really at all here, but the European Football League. Um, I'm sure if you want to follow something that has a little bit of controversy going on right now, that's kind of the place. There was I cannot remember the two teams that were involved. I
oh,
want
it
to
was
say it's
Germany was one of the teams.
I think so, something like that. But there was one team that was getting trounced like 60 something to nothing um, at halftime. And so the losing team said, "We're good, thanks. We're getting on the bus." They literally forfeited because it was so bad. Now, to their credit, and we don't have all the information, but I believe it was something to do with player safety because they didn't have their full roster. So they had a lot of players playing basically like Ironman football on defense and on offense, right? Thus increasing the risk of injury and everything. And once it got to a point where they knew that they were not going to win, I mean, I can't say that I blame them for pulling the plug on it. So, uh, sad to see that happen to them. But I mean, that's kind of the game, right? Like
Yeah,
those are sometimes the risks that you run. So hopefully they get all that straightened out and get their players back, or you know, hire better buses to get them to the games. Whatever they need to do. A donkey pulling a cart, like whatever. Just get everybody to the game, make it happen. Now, uh, even though the season's already done, the AIF and the NIL are still providing us news. So thank you guys for that, and thank you to PAT for providing this information for us. First and foremost, there's been speculation about uh, some mergers happening. The AIF has made an announcement that they are not merging with the NAL, so the AIF is still sticking around. That's important that we bring that up because we want to talk about the three teams from the AIF that are now moving over to the NAL,
yeah.
and that is going to be
So it's the
um,
Columbus Lions, the Harrison Stampede, and our very own Corpus Christi Tritons are going to be moving over to NAL. Which
yes,
if you read the NAL press release, like it sounds like a merger. It says the title of it is American Indoor Football League joins the National Arena League, and it goes and talks about how one of the I guess the president of the AIF is going to join the NAL board of directors. So the NAL is framing it as a merger uh, slash absorption or whatever. But maybe hey, the AIF may stick around in its own form too. So you know, we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, the NAL
yep,
kind of framed it as a merger of sorts.
right. So even though it's not,
It's not, but
and the dust has not really settled on this announcement yet, right? because there could potentially be some issues with canceled contracts, things like that. We simply don't know yet. We've got to see
I mean,
these,
we saw that
you know.
with West Texas going to the AFL from the NAL last year. How kind of that controversy was lingering for a few weeks and eventually
Hmm.
got resolved. Maybe there's that. They're going to have that here. Who knows? There's still what three arena or AIF teams that are still out there. So what's that league going to do if it sticks around? There's still you know a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah. Um, One question that definitely comes to mind is, now that you have a league with 9 teams, how are you going to structure that season, right? Um, Odd number teams, I mean, unless they just keep it, like 1 through 9,
Yeah,
um, how do you break down divisions and everything? But we're looking at, you've got Carolina Cobras, right? You've got the Colorado Spartans, you've got the Columbus Lions, you've got Corpus Christi Titans, Harrisburg Stampede, Idaho Horsemen, and then Omaha Beef, and then Sioux City Bandits, and then the Wheeling Miners. So you've got kind of this weird clustering of teams. Um, there's going to be some travel, right? Especially for Corpus, because none of these teams are really that close.
yeah.
I think the closest probably would be Carolina. But there's definitely going to be some travel involved. However, I'm excited for Corpus Christi because we saw how well they did in the AIF. About the only challenge they really had was Columbus,
Yeah.
and boy, did they have a challenge, right? Um, but pardon me. Um, Corpus was a great team, and they've got a great head coach. So to see them step up to a league that maybe can match, what they're bringing to the table a little bit, might be a good thing. So I'm interested to see how this is going to pan out for them. And in the meantime, I'm interested to see what the AIF is going to do to fill the void of losing those 3 teams, 2 of which were kind of anchors for that league. So
What's funny
that'll.
though? You try and go to the AIF website, it's down. So
Hmm. Yeah, but we saw that with the AFL several times too, to the point where they just went back to their original website
yeah,
even, you know? So it could be they didn't pay their GeoCities bill or something like that. Who knows? Right? It's just some weird stuff. Now, what else we got here? Um, we talked about the Gunslingers, the NAL expansion, AIF, AFL. One thing I think we because there's different news stories coming out and stuff like that. One news story that came out that really kind of caught our attention was a news story about a proposal from Joe Burrow. Now, if you guys are kind of trying to follow all the NFL stuff, you've probably already seen this story. But if not, what it was some comments from Joe Burrow about the potential expansion of the NFL season to 18 games and what they should do if that were to happen. Okay. So Joe Burrow is proposing, and again, this is a quarterback, right? Um, but it's something that we want you guys to think of while we're talking about it. But Joe Burrow proposed that if they do, in fact, go to an 18-game season, they need to do like what MLB or NBA does or anything, and have like an all-star break in the middle of the season and put the Pro Bowl there, right?
yeah.
So, let us know your thoughts on something like that while we kind of break that down and discuss it here. Brian, what are your thoughts on doing something like that if they were to go to an 18-game season and lose a second preseason game?
I think they're definitely going to move to an 18 game season eventually. I think they've been kind of talking about it, wanting to add that much for a while. And I do think at that point you do need to add a second week off for these teams. You know, Football's a brutal sport, and you add a couple more games, real games, not preseason where everybody rests except for maybe a drive or two. A lot of those injuries, not the freak, blow out your knee or whatever, but a lot of like those aches and pains that linger. they build up more. So you got to have that week off to kind of let your body rest. So, you know, I like Burrow's proposal. Now I'm curious as to if they do something like that, how many players would actually participate in it. Um, you know, obviously I think they kind of should keep it as it is, a flag football game, kind of a skills competition, not a not a full on game like what they used to have that really nobody watched. I like the skills competitions and the stuff that they're doing now with the Pro Bowl. Uh, but I think putting it in the middle of the season like that would get some more eyes on it, because I think by the time Super Bowl, is over, or actually, do they do it during the Super Bowl now, or they do it the week before?
I thought they did it after,
I know they used to do it
or it
after.
might have been the week before. I think it was after, and then they switched it to the week before when they stopped sending them over to Hawaii for that.
I believe so. But I think you know, whenever it is, still there weren't a whole lot of people that were watching because they were still focused on the Super Bowl, on what was going on, or anything like that. Um, I kind of like it, in the middle of the season. Like, I'm a basketball fan, so the All Star game in the middle of the season, I kind of like that, and I think it would be something to get some more eyes on that weekend.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in agreement with you. Um, I remember being, a young adult in the 90s when, mid 90s when, Brett Favre joined the Packers in what, 93. Um, and distinctly remember watching the, uh, the quarterback competition with him. I want to say, I know Bledsoe was there. I want to say Montana, Philip Rivers was there. That's the one where Brett Favre threw like that 70-yard pass, right? And the one thing that people don't talk about is the other pass that he threw that didn't count, which was almost an 80-yarder, but because
Yeah,
it drifted out of bounds, it didn't count, right? But a quarterback throwing a 70-yard ball, and that's phenomenal, right? You don't really have that same kind of draw anymore. And I'm not saying that everything should be about the Pro Bowl, but let's bring back some of the pizzazz and some of the fun and some of the entertainment of the Pro Bowl. People, I mean, you've got people that don't go to the Pro Bowl now because they're trying to get ready for the Super Bowl, right? And I don't blame them, right? Who would want to get hurt in a Pro Bowl game when you've got the biggest game of the season on the line the following week? But imagine what it would be like to have a Pro Bowl where you've got like a Joe Burrow competing against what's his name in Kansas City? Um,
oh, Mahomes.
yeah, Mahomes. Seeing some actual, real talent out there, not like, the all NFL second team playing against the all AFL second team, right? Because half the guys are in the damn Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, and that's
Um,
what when they used to have the actual game. Uh, yeah, and we were just talking about it. It is correct. They do have it the week before the Super Bowl, and that was it because it used to be in Hawaii the week after the Super Bowl, and then they moved it. They started moving around to different cities or around, and they moved it to the week before the Super Bowl. But none of the players that were playing in the Super Bowl would play in the Pro Bowl for that reason. They didn't want to get hurt.
right.
So you had a lot of alternates.
Hmm.
Something like this, it kind of avoids that happening, but also like I said, I'm fine without them doing a real game because really, I mean, it just kind of it sucked to watch. It wasn't really that fun. It was absolutely no defense at all, and you know
Hmm.
it was kind of a boring game. So
Right.
I like seeing the skills competition, the the 7-on-7 flag football, just kind of the guys
Right.
out there having fun. That's
Hmm.
what I like to see. I think that's what's a lot more enjoyable about the Pro Bowl. So having that kind of you know halfway, three quarters of the way through the season, would be something I would definitely support.
Right. Now, I will say that that's something that, Coach Tom and I were talking about today. Coach Tom longtime friend of the show, has been on a couple of times. I'm hoping at some point, we can get him to pop back on here on a somewhat more regular basis, just because it's fun to get some of his insights. But he and I were talking about it today at lunchtime, and he was suggesting basically the same thing. Doing just like what you do with the MLB All Star break. Um, but we would have to move things around a little bit because with the way the season starts, midway would be basically a week and a half before Thanksgiving, right? Where everything gets kind of all messed up. Rig, that's actually uh, you're right. Dodgeball would be perfectly fine. I like the fact that they're doing flag football because you can still have a little bit of competition, a little bit of defense, and things like that. Without players having to really worry about getting hurt, and they don't have to pad up and whatever. They can just
What
have
was
fun with
what
it.
was it though? A couple weeks ago, oh man, like Tyreek Hill got hit on the sidelines for one or something. It was 2 years ago, I think. Oh, I forget. That was funny though. But it was during the flag football game. One of the defenders came across and like hit Tyreek Hill on the sidelines.
No,
Yeah,
see, I
but
don't remember
no
that.
pads, no nothing.
I don't remember that. I mean, that's dangerous, right? You're going to run that risk. Some people are going to get a little bit emotional, especially to light someone up like Tyreek Hill. But I like the fact that the NFL has done things to try and make it, you know, as engaging as it used to be and as fun as it used to be. Hopefully, some of these things will stick. And I think if we do it like an all-star break where everybody kind of gets a rest, and
Yeah.
your all-stars have a weekend where they can just go and kind of cut up with their buddies and
And it's
do
it's a
some
chance
stuff.
to
But
it's a chance to show off the players. Like
yes,
not, and that's what the dodgeball, that's what flag football, the skills competition stuff that the players don't have to wear a helmet, don't have to wear their pads. You get to see because I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of players, football players that well, I don't really know what he looks like because I only see him behind a helmet,
right.
90% of the time.
Hmm.
So and that's what these all-star games are supposed to be for these leagues. It's a chance to showcase the players, and this it's the perfect opportunity to do that.
Oh yeah, and honestly, Rig, that's not a bad idea, right? Now, not every team has a mascot, um, but that would be a lot of fun, right? To see the ones that do have a mascot competing in a mascot contest, right?
What was it? I
Um,
think the NBA had years and years and years ago a mascot dunk contest. Uh, I remember the Coyote won it one year. I'm not talking like mid '90s or something like that, but stuff like that. Uh, I've seen videos all the time of mascots doing stuff on the field, and it's fun to watch. So definitely should incorporate something like that.
yes. Sorry, I'm being harassed by a youth, and she's annoying me. So, sorry about that. Parenting never stops. Yes, mascot competition would be great. Skills contests, just like the NBA has the slam dunk contest, and people used to go wild for that in the '90s and even the 2000s, right? I think
Oh, it was
that's
great.
kind of
I really honestly haven't watched it in the last couple years, more than that probably, but the dunk contest was so much fun. But
right. The quarterback contest used to be so much fun when you had, some of the old gunslingers in there. Aikman, I know, did pretty good in them. I loved seeing the obstacle course where you had, the quarterback had to throw the ball into the moving target with the different nets and stuff, and some of them were bigger than others, and you really got to see a quarterback's skills when he drilled a 100 and something mile an hour fastball and put it in a target this big. you know some of that stuff was just awesome. So
yeah,
I'm sure one thing that coach did bring up that I want to make sure that I bring up, even though I don't necessarily agree with it. I think he does make a valid point that while us, the fans, would really enjoy that, I don't know that the owners are necessarily going to go for that because there is a potential for injury, right? And if, for example, your star running back is in the flag football game and rolls his ankle, that could cost you, his contribution to the team for 2 to 3 weeks. Are they going to allow something like that to go down? And the answer is no, right?
But you risk that even with having the Pro Bowl the week before the Super Bowl. The because you are having some players in the Super Bowl that are in the Pro Bowl. So, yeah, you may risk in that time rolling an ankle the week before the Super Bowl. I mean, you roll an ankle in week 10, week 11, or 12 or 13, like Burrow proposed. You've still got 5, 6, 7 weeks left in the season to heal up before the playoffs. So, you said it in the right area, unless it's like a super serious injury, which in something like that is going to be few and far between. Like, I mean, there's always the chance, but I mean, really, how bad are you going to get hurt playing flag football? If you're a professional NFL player. So I don't see that as being a major deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, the potential for serious injury is not there, but it could very well be that you know, suffer an injury that very much could cause your team, some lost time and
Yeah.
potentially losing a game. Yes. So, um, I think it's a valid point. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, um, but it very easily
And
could,
like I said, this
right?
this isn't anything this hasn't been put in front of the owners. This is Joe Burrow saying what he thinks should happen, or what he proposes. So, I mean, maybe hey, maybe it gains traction and they actually do it, but this isn't something that they're considering just yet.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Again, it's still under discussion. There's talk about it. There's nothing that's actually been confirmed or anything. So it's really all just speculation at this point. Um, but I thought it was interesting to talk about that. Joe Burrow is proposing an option that could potentially make the Pro Bowl weekend in the middle of the season and make it fun again, right?
yeah,
Make it more engaging and entertaining for the fans. And I mean, if they do decide to go for that, man, I'm here for it. I want to see something like that so bad, you know,
Joe Burrow
especially
needs to make a red hat with white lettering, make the Pro Bowl fun again.
that would be awesome. I would love to see that. Um, but yeah, especially with like the new class of quarterbacks that have come out and all the speculation that's around them and how much they're going to do and how, half of them are supposedly Hall of Famers already. Man, here's the opportunity. Show what you
Yeah,
got, right? Let's see. You're dancing with the big boys now. Let's see if you can actually do it or not.
exactly.
In fact, I'd love an opportunity for Jordan Love to get out there and show us something to give us a little bit more confidence in having him at the helm, right? Speaking of Jordan Love, it does sound like he finally did come to terms with potentially with the Green Bay front office. I've not seen anything official, but it sounds like he may have closed in on a pretty sweetheart of a deal, uh, something to the tune of 3 years, 140 something million. Uh,
Holy crap!
yeah, yeah. So I've got to look into that more and confirm that.
I haven't
Um,
I haven't seen that come across, but I mean, wouldn't surprise
yeah,
me.
well, right. And again, that's all, that could just be speculation also.
Yeah,
Because I've not seen anything come across any of my Packers news feeds on that yet, but I did find it on another source somewhere else. And it was like, I wonder how real this is. But again, as long as they come to a deal with them, I would love to see that because I think waiting too long is going to cost you a heck of a lot more in the long run, right?
so it
With
depends on
getting
how they do this season. Which I don't know if you saw this. They released the win totals for the teams for
Oh
the
yeah,
for the
we're going to
betting
be
lines.
horrible. Yeah,
Uh, so did you see
I
that they
think they
released them, or did you see what Green Bay's win total was for the year?
I think they've got us at like 7-9.
They've got you at 9.5 wins is the line.
Okay,
So
that's
um,
better than 500. I'll take it.
yeah, they've got in the NFC North. They've got Detroit at 10.5 wins.
That's
So
not going to happen.
Vegas is saying that Detroit's going to win the NFC North, and they've got Chicago at 8.5 and Minnesota at 7.5.
Okay.
So if you're going by Vegas, NFC North is going to be Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, and Minnesota.
Well, I mean, if you're going by Vegas, San Antonio Brahmas were supposed to be in last place in both leagues,
This is
right?
true.
And we took it to the championship. We were
This is
just one
true.
game shy of getting that 15 honey. And it would have been so nice to get that money. So nice to get that money.
Oh, I
I
know.
so wanted to spend everybody's tier money. God, it would have been
Right.
so
It would have been
nice.
fantastic, but
Yep.
say la vie, man.
But
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 what do you think about that? So 9.5 wins is what Vegas is putting your Packers at.
as delusional as I am as a Packers fan, I'm going to be honest. Um, I think that that's probably a pretty fair assessment. Again, we've got we've got some new additions. We've got some untested talent. We've got some people that did not perform spectacularly this last season. Um, so now it's going to be a chance to see what they can do. But then you also have the talent that's going to be coming up from the UFL that's going to be available, right? And it's going to be trying out. And in fact, talking about players, we want to make sure that we give a shout out and send our positive vibes and well wishes and everything to James Harden, who's actually sitting outside a stadium right now. I believe it was Cincinnati, uh, holding up a sign, give an opportunity. Okay. This is a cat that we met at one of the Arlington Renegades games, who had a stellar arena football season this year. Um, and we did. Jacobs is pretty awesome. I don't know if he's necessarily a great replacement for who we lost, though. We're gonna have to find out,
I think
right?
he
Because
is.
he's a different back. Well, he's a different back,
Yeah.
so we'll have to see. But again, James Harden is trying to get picked up by an NFL squad somewhere, and all he needs is an opportunity, right? So, again, that's a gentleman that we met at one of the games. He's a very humble, hardworking young man. Our fingers crossed for him, and we've got our fingers crossed for every UFL player that is trying to get an opportunity with an NFL team or to get back with an NFL team. I know these young men have worked very, very hard this last season, and I'm hopeful that the specifically the ones that we have a connection with, but that all of them get an opportunity to at least show what they can do and showcase their true talents, and then have a decision made from that, rather than maybe a shaky NFL combine or something like that, right? Um, Rig again, right? He was at the IFL game with us, and there are a lot of those cats that are going to be coming up for the UFL combines. I know we talked about it. I believe it was last week, but
Yeah.
we've got um, the UFL showcases coming up. In fact, starting this weekend, right? Let me see if I can math correctly. Yeah, this weekend in St. Louis. Uh, you've got the showcase there. Um, Trying to see what the other dates are. Um, Friday the 12th in St. Louis, Sunday the 14th in DC, and then Friday the 26th in Atlanta, and then the 28th in Houston. Rig, I'm assuming you're going to go to that one because I mean it's at Houston Christian University. It's basically in your backyard. Maybe you can go to that one in full gear and cheer these young men on. But then also you've got the Orlando Showcase, which is one of the ones that we went to last year. and then the San Diego showcase in October 20th. That's the one that we did not go to, but that's the one where our friend Caleb Samuel went to and had an opportunity to really show out. But because of the merger, it really kind of bumped him out. So fingers crossed. I hadn't heard from that young man in a while. I'm hopeful that he's going to get an opportunity to go to one of these showcases and show out because literally on a hurt ankle, he was the second fastest guy there. Okay, so if he's playing at full strength and showing up at these combines, he's going to smoke everybody, and it's just going to be nasty. So, UFL scouts, keep an eye out for some of these young men that we're talking about: James Harden, Caleb Samuel. We already know LaColby Tucker. Uh, he needs an opportunity to get back in because I'm telling you, the guy's a beast, right? He just needs the right squad. And no offense to San Antonio, um, he needs to be back on on the 100-yard field. Although he did really good on the 50-yard field too. I mean, I don't want to take that away from him. He absolutely destroyed. So
All right. Now, since you completely derailed what I was talking about,
yes, because that's what I do.
as per usual, back to the the total win total. Moving over
Shut
to the
up.
NFC East. They've got
Yeah, where
the
you're.
Cowboys and the Eagles projected to win 10.5 games, or that's the line is 10 and a
Okay.
half games for each of those. And then both the Giants and the Commanders are at 6.5 games. So I think it's, Cowboys, Eagles. I think that's probably fair. I would probably pick the over for the Cowboys. I'd say probably 11, 11, 12 games to win. Philly probably, probably about the same. So I would probably bet the over on those.
So
Giants and Commanders, I think 6 games will be lucky for them.
potentially, potentially, but I'm going to flip the script on you. Okay. Unless Jones is sitting on some kind of magic, card up his sleeve, rabbit in his hat, some kind of trick tomfoolery stuff that he actually has been known to do in the past. Um, with the lack of additions other than through the draft, I I would bet the under. Okay.
Let's see, Cowboys are a good regular season team. That's kind of for the last, few years. That's what they fall apart in the playoffs. They've always been a good regular season team. They have a couple bad losses, but they play, and it doesn't hurt that they play the freaking Giants and Commanders twice. So that's 4 easy wins. And
Yeah.
I forget what schedule they're playing, what divisions they're playing this year. But I 10, 11 wins isn't that hard to do when you're playing a 17 game schedule. That's 11-6. So
Hmm.
uh,
But
it's in the playoffs is where the Cowboys fall off. So I said
right,
I think 11 wins it would be pretty easy for them.
right. Depending on which NFC North team you draw, that could mess up. See you, Rig. Take care, brother. We'll see you this
Okay, so
weekend
hey, real quick, Rig. So
or
they've got
next weekend.
Houston at 9.5 wins for the season. So I know you,
Yeah.
you asked here. So 9.5 is what they projected you guys to do.
Yes. So hopefully
Which I
you
think
guys
might be a
can get
little
the
low
over on that.
for as good as Stroud did, and really the moves that the Texans made. That's I don't know. I might bet the over for that as well because
Yeah,
they brought
I
in
would
they brought
definitely.
in hell of good talent. So
Yeah, I would take the over on that. I see them
so
taking
and
the
the
division for
actually the
sure.
money line is for that one is on the over. So more people are betting the over than the under.
I
So
would. I think it's a safe bet because I really think Houston's going to do a lot more this year than what they did last year, especially with the additions they made. So, um, but again, Cowboys. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying and everything, but depending on the teams that they draw on their schedule, um, the NFC North is not going to be the weak NFC North that it used to be. It's starting to rebuild and get stronger. So you're going to have a little bit more of a tough time there.
you
Is it
got
going to be enough
you got two good
to
teams. So
Well, I mean, give the Vikings a chance. Chicago's rebuilding.
With a rookie
Detroit
quarterback, no
is
way.
give him a chance. Give him a chance. Mahomes was a rookie, and he did just fine. Okay.
No, he
Um,
wasn't a rookie because he sat behind Alex Smith for a year or two.
whatever. Still a rookie. Okay. I mean, you're sitting behind Alex Smith for God's sake. You know, um, that would be like sitting behind Doug Peterson. I mean, come on. Anyways, it's going to depend on how things break down. I know Detroit is not going to be a pushover. We'll
So
have to see what happens
we're
with Green
playing
Bay.
We're playing Detroit.
Okay.
That's the only NFC North team we're playing. Looks like
Okay.
the divisions we've got are ooh, shoot.
Please tell me you're
AFC.
playing. Tell me you're playing Jacksonville because that's an easy win.
You know
No
what?
offense, James Carr. Right, love you, but it's Jacksonville, baby. Come on.
No, we're playing the AFC North and the oh shoot, what is the other one? The NFC South are the two divisions we're
Okay.
playing. So
Okay.
I mean NFC South is not a great division.
No.
AFC North, I mean, Browns, you got the Steelers, you got the Ravens who are good, and you've got the Bengals who knows what they're going to be. So
I don't think the Bengals know week from week what
yeah,
they're going to be.
no, so yeah, so I mean, really, I got a pretty good schedule, so I don't see 11 wins being a problem at all.
Potentially. I mean, again, it's all going to be up to, your team doing their job. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And Mike McCarthy, you need to put down the onion rings and the cheeseburger, right? Focus on coaching, right? Don't Green Bay this up. I swear to God, you know.
Hey, it works for
So
Andy Reid, so I mean, McCarthy's maybe just trying to go that route.
there can be only one Andy Reid. Okay. So, anyways, so guys, that's pretty much kind of it where we're at with our Texans talking football today. Um, there's still plenty of football to watch, right? CFL is going on if you want to watch that. It's a little different game. Rules are a little bit different, a little bit
It
harder to
it, it
follow.
takes a lot of getting used to watch that.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
it's still football.
yeah.
But in the meantime, you still also have a couple of weeks left in the IFL. You've got the playoffs going on in the AFL. Preseason should be starting here. Well, mini camp should be starting here soon, right? And so we should start getting more information, more news and stuff to talk about from the training camps. And college football should be doing the same thing. So we should be getting a little bit more information. Hopefully, Archie Manning gets an opportunity to touch the field in Austin before he graduates and goes on to his, doctoral class because he's never going to see the field as a pro. Um, Poor guy, man. Poor guy. I feel so bad for him. Coming
I
from
mean,
that lineage. And,
he's just a sophomore this year, so
yeah, but no, I don't think he's got it, man. Dude's tiny.
I don't
But
know.
that's for a whole different. We could do a whole show about
Yeah.
all that. But in the meantime, um, oh, you know what? Speaking of that, real quick though, the Manning bloodline. Did you know? I just found this out recently that there was an older brother that actually was better than both of the Manning brothers.
Are you talking about
Than
Cooper?
Yeah,
You didn't know about Cooper?
I did not know about Cooper. What's up, Jackie?
Hey,
I,
Jackie.
I did not know about Cooper, and I did not know how good of an athlete he was. And if
Yeah.
it wasn't for the fact that he had suffered like neurological damage and lost the feeling in his fingers, um, I believe he went to Notre Dame, and that's where they kind of found out about it. If it wouldn't have been for that, he would have done better than both of his brothers as a professional athlete. And then
Maybe.
he winds up being an incredible businessman and owning or having just as much money as them, and didn't
Exactly.
have to bust himself up for it.
Yeah.
So
He didn't have to break
funny,
his neck and all that stuff. So, who really
exactly,
wanted that deal?
yeah. So funny how things work out for people, right? That That's because he's been collecting. He's been
That's
going out
right.
and
That's right,
stealing
Jackie.
stuff.
I'm keep adding to it. Yeah, my newest addition is my our little gunslingers flag we got this weekend. So
But did Jackie even keep hers? We'll see what happens. But anyways, all right, folks. Again, plenty of football to follow. Make sure you're watching it. The Gunslingers are still going to be playing. Obviously, the 20th, thanks to XFL Mike G, talking Rig Rocker into being there. We're going to be there. Yes, pew pew. We're not doing that. Horns forward, right? As you saw in the pictures, I'm still representing. Um, but we're going to be there. So if you
can you
guys
like
are,
pew the horns forwards? You know, like
no, you may not. No, that's blasphemy. You get in trouble for stuff like that. Anyways, but they are, and you need to bring that bag to every single game. Okay, but she's talking about her clear stadium bag that she has that is specifically made with the Brahmas logo on it, so she could take it into our games and not get in trouble. Although she still got in trouble with the bag.
unless it's
I'm just
DC.
saying. Yes, unless you're DC. But anyways, um, the Gunslingers are still going to be playing 20th. We're most likely all going to be there. I'm hoping to see everybody there. If you're not doing anything on the 20th, come on out, come hang out with us. We're going to
The
be
last
raising
game
all
of the
kinds of
season,
heck.
last home game. I mean, like we said earlier in the show, man, it's those games are so much fun. You
Yeah.
know, really, I mean, I kind of I miss going to them. So,
Yeah.
definitely going back to it. Definitely gonna go to more games next year. I know. As you said, we had a lot going on with all of our traveling to all the Brahmas games, but
Yep.
definitely gonna try and make it out to more Gunslingers games next year.
Oh yeah, and honestly, some of the best stories that Brian and I have were from some of those rinky-dink, rundown, just horrible conditions. Like in fact, first season we were playing, part of the field was from the LA Kiss,
Yeah.
right? And they tried to black spray paint the logo, and it didn't work. So,
Oh, you could totally make out that logo. Like as soon as we walked in, they're like, "Hey, that's the Kiss field."
yep. So again, just great stories like that. But come on out, check out the game, come have some fun with us. We'll raise a little bit of heck. We'll have a good time. Make sure you're watching the AFL for the semifinal round, and then next weekend for the championship game. A couple weeks after that will be the IFL championship games,
Yep.
and then
we're in
right
the
after that we
NFL.
should be rolling into preseason.
So
So this is a good time to be alive, man. Football all year round. You could not ask for a better time in history. So, with that being the case, Brian, why don't you sign us off? Going forward, everybody.
all
Hey,
right,
and thank you all. Well, real quick. Thank you all to all you fans for watching. Appreciate all of you. Thank you to our friends at Pro Arena Talk and AFN uh, and Mike G and our sponsor W Energy. Yeah, W Energy drink. If you guys are looking for an energy drink that doesn't give you caffeine jitters like I seem to have all the time, check out W Energy drink. There's a link posted, or I'm sorry, pinned to our Facebook page. And now we're done plugging. Okay. See you guys.
see you guys.